walking through a ghost town. Y'all ain't playing my sounds. Don't tell me to calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Only time I go backwards is when I wanna moonwalk. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. We are who we say that we are. You were lost in the stars, and it's all from the start. Never running no pace, never on the right page. But we still read that book, and we still run that race. Ay. Mississippi Racer riding out, no shortcuts, no time for that. Mississippi Racer riding out, till the wheels fall off, I'm driving that. Mississippi Racer riding out, we'll stop burning, strike the match. Mississippi Racer riding out, red light, green light, red light, good night. Ay. Red light, green light, red light, good night. 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 Time to chill, don't sweat it.
Good morning and welcome. It is Coffee and Sports. It is the morning show powered by Wire Network. I am Chris, and of course, that over there, that is Mo. Mo, happy Thursday, sir.
Happy Thursday, partner, and everybody out there listening.
Mo. It is NFL Prediction Thursday. But before we get into that, before we talk about the football game that is happening tonight, there was recently an article put out by Action Network. It is an up-and-coming network. There's a lot of work with Fox News. They asked over 3,000 fans that span across all 32 fan bases a series of questions. And I want to get into some of the results, Mo, of these questions. I haven't told you about this, so unless you stumbled upon this on your own, sir, you probably have not seen this. But one of the questions they asked all of these fans from each of these fan bases is to name the most annoying player in the National Football League. Mo, I'm just going to give you a breakdown of the percentage of the top five. So the fifth place player got 5% of the votes. Fourth place got 8%. Third place got 10%. Second place got 17%. And the first place most annoying player in the NFL today received 27% of the votes. Mo, 26 of the 32 fan bases that were represented all said this is the most annoying player in the NFL. Do you have a guess?
The most annoying player?
Annoying player.
I don't know. Micah Parsons?
Quarterback.
Let me Mahomes for winning all the time? I don't know.
Mahomes is on the list. Mahomes is fourth. Dak Prescott is fifth. Odell Beckham Jr. is third. Travis Kelce is second. But the most annoying quarterback or the most annoying player in the NFL, Mo?
Russell Wilson?
That would have been my vote. The quarterback for the New York Jets.
Oh, that's another one. There you go.
Aaron Rodgers is named the most annoying quarterback in the NFL. Mo, I want you to jump into the Wayback Machine. I want to go back to like 2010 to 2015 because most NFL fans have a very short-term memory. And if it didn't happen last season, it feels like it happened forever ago,
right,
for some NFL fans. But Mo, there was about a 3, 4, maybe 5-year period where Brady was in the league, Peyton Manning was in the league, Aaron Rodgers was in the league. And there was a fair debate going on at that time. Who was the best quarterback? Was it Manning? Was it Brady? Was it Rodgers? And this is before Brady won his last 3 championships. So Brady didn't get to his number yet. He had a handful, but he wasn't quite there yet. At this point, I believe Rodgers already had one and Manning already had one as well. So they were still chasing Brady in the championship numbers. But it was a valid point because you could look at it and you could say, yeah, well, I think Tom had 3 or 4 at the time. And you look at it, Tom, but he doesn't have the numbers, right? Well, he doesn't have the numbers of a Peyton Manning, and he may not be the intellectual player that Peyton is, and Peyton's got one as well. And then you look at Rodgers, and let's be honest, Rodgers throws the best ball out of all of them. Aaron Rodgers might throw one of the best footballs in the history of the NFL. I mean, make a list of the top 5 just pure throwers of the football. I got Marino on that list, and I got Rodgers on that, and it's a gap down, I think, to 3, 4, and 5. He just throws a pretty ball. And also, Rodgers had one thing that Manning and Brady didn't have back then, Mo. He was likable. Tom Brady was kind of uptight. Peyton Manning was kind of uptight. They were first one in, last one out.
Right.
If you mess up on the field, we're going to yell at you kind of guy. And Aaron Rodgers was California. He was kind of laid back, a little quirky, right? But threw a pretty ball, had himself a Super Bowl, was definitely cooler than those other two. And then something weird happened. Brady won a handful more. Peyton got to 2 more Super Bowls, won one of them. And Aaron kind of stopped being in that conversation as the GOAT. Brady kind of took it over, and I would argue Manning's ahead of Aaron Rodgers. And then what happened, Mo? Aaron started to focus on stats. He won a couple of MVPs. He became very focused on single-digit interception numbers every season. In fact, he started to lead the league in number of balls thrown away by a lot. Not just he's top 5. No. He led the league by a lot. He chose to throw the ball. It was at one point, there was 2 or 3 seasons, Mo. It was a running joke. How many times is Aaron Rodgers just going to heave the ball into the stands this game? Because either it was there or he threw the ball away. There was no, can I fit it in? There was no 50-50 ball. Let my guy go get it. Either he thought it was going to be a completion or he was dumping it into the stands because he wasn't going to throw interceptions. And then we have the pandemic, and then he becomes tinfoil guy, and he's conspiracy theorist guy, and he's no vax guy, and he's Kambuka guy, and he's darkness retreats guy, and he's don't listen to the media guy, and he's I might run for vice president guy. Mo, 10 years ago, he was in the conversation for the greatest quarterback of all time, of this generation, with Brady and Manning. 10 years later, he's the most annoying guy in football. It's interesting. It's interesting to look at because you saw the shift. You saw the shift once Brady and Manning kind of elevated themselves through championships and Super Bowl appearances. Aaron's never gotten back. What was left for Aaron Rodgers? MVPs. And how do you get MVPs as a quarterback? Stats. And that's what he leaned into. He's a 3-time MVP. The other guys don't got that. That's what he leaned into. And Mo, it was so interesting because I don't know if you caught his press conference, his post game after the Titans victory. And he goes on, and it's the generic questions from the Jets, just oogling over Aaron Rodgers. You know how they do. And it was something to the effect of, Aaron, how does it feel getting your first win as a starting quarterback for the New York Jets? And Mo, he didn't miss a beat. And he goes, well, actually, it's my second. That first one still counts for me. Huh. Got it. That was only Zach Wilson's best performance as a New York Jet ever.
It was.
But you're going to take that from Zach Wilson? You're going to put that onto your mantle, Aaron Rodgers? You played 4 downs in that game, and you're going to put that onto your bedpost as something that it's my second. I get it, Aaron. You started the game, and the team won. You were there for 4 plays. You can't even give that to Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's playing 3rd-string quarterback. Maybe he's the backup. I don't even know where he is in Denver. But Zach Wilson can't even become the starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos because Bo Nix, who looks like hot garbage, beat him out for the starter's job. And you can't give Zach Wilson that victory? Mo, what the hell happened to Aaron Rodgers? 10 years ago, he was the coolest cat that played quarterback in the NFL. And now 10 years later, he's taking victories away from Zach Wilson's list of New York Jets accomplishments is about this big.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
And winning that game on Monday Night Football to open that season last year is like top 2. And nope, that was Aaron's win, Mo. That was Aaron's win.
You bring up a good point. 10 years ago, it was Brady and Manning and Rodgers. And the difference is, even when Peyton was near the end of his career, and he knew it, he couldn't really throw the football anymore, he managed to game manage his way into another championship. And he knew he smart man walked off after that into the sunset. I also think as they got older, I thought something changed in Manning and Brady. They got a little bit cooler, funnier. Brady for sure became more comfortable in his own skin. He was always so deadly serious, so driven, but he started to show you another side, a little bit more personality. And you can be like that when you're 7 Super Bowls later, and you know the next guy's nowhere near you. I think just Brady just totally relaxed and said, yeah, I'm that guy. Rodgers' problem was he was always putting up numbers, and he was getting to NFC title games, but he was losing to guys that most people would consider lesser quarterbacks. He was just coming up short. And
at home a lot of time. At home.
Yeah. Well, look, the list of guys that I think Kaepernick might have beat him twice. He just kept coming up short. And I don't take nothing away from how great a player he's been, but I remember when that conversation was happening, the real push for Rodgers was on talent. If you put the three of them together, who's the more talented player? And probably by a wide margin, most people said Aaron Rodgers. I don't even disagree with that on talent, but being more talented, I've always said this, isn't a default to being better. It's what you do on the field. Brady wasn't he wasn't surgical the way Manning was, but he was surgical. He could dissect defenses. Brady changed so much as he got older. You're right. Maybe the first 2 or 3 Super Bowls, he didn't have huge stats. He didn't have huge numbers. And people were making the argument, well, Tom's got the wins, but, look at his numbers. But look at the second half of Brady's careers. He lived in that 4,500 range, 35-plus touchdowns. He got the numbers because he actually got better as he got older. I think that was killing Rodgers because the numbers was one of his best arguments, and Brady took that away too. And now you have an older Aaron Rodgers, and instead of being more reflective the way Brady and Manning got as they got older, he seems to be like the grouchy old man who comes, you know what I mean? You don't know where he's going to go from press conference to press conference. Aaron's got to have his guys around him. Aaron has to have everything a certain way. I'm looking at the Jets under him. I get it. They should be considered a playoff threat. But I was leaning into the fact that the defense was going to be what it was last year, Chris. I was leaning into the fact that we're going to have a dominant defense, and Aaron Rodgers didn't have to be MVP Aaron Rodgers. He just had to be very good, and I think that would have been enough to make them one of the top seeds in the AFC. If the defense is going to be in the middle of the pack and the offense is going to be average at best, pedestrian, then I don't see them as Super Bowl threats. I've heard all these people already talking about, well, if Aaron is just a game manager, that will be good enough to get them to the Super Bowl. I don't think not if the defense is average. I disagree with that. If the defense is going to be an average defense, they're going to need Aaron Rodgers to put on an MVP caliber season. I don't know if that's physically in him anymore, Chris.
Other things that were covered in this poll, Mo, most annoying team by a very, very wide margin. It was the Dallas Cowboys.
I already knew that.
23%. The next closest team was the
Niners.
Philadelphia Eagles at 9%. The Raiders at 8%. The Packers at 7%. Patriots at 6%. The most annoying team, not as wide of a margin, but it was still the Dallas Cowboys at 17%. Philadelphia Eagles at 9%, Raiders at 8%, Packers at 7%, Steelers at 6%.
That's interesting.
Right?
Because the perception is most people would have Dallas number 1, right?
Right.
But if you listen to an Eagles fans talk, they always come off with that the Eagle and Eagles Nation are so humble, right? Like on the outside, I'm a Niners fan. I would have thought people would have said the Niners would have been more annoying, and then you find out no, it's Philly. Philly's more annoying. The Niners don't even rank.
Mo, they also asked NFL fans what behavior at NFL games drives you the crazy the most. And 52% said obstructing your view. Obstructing your view. Second was yelling and taunting at other fans. Third was cursing in inappropriate language. Fourth was spilling food or drinks. And then fifth was not standing and removing your hat for the national anthem. They got some weird ones in here, like most patriotic teams. It's kind of weird. Also, by a weird, overwhelming percentage, apparently a lot of NFL fans do not like mid-game proposals.
It's gotten old. They've turned on
it. Mid-game proposals are apparently not a big thing when it comes to those who attend NFL games. The fan bases that were the most angry about mid-game proposals, Jacksonville Jaguars, because nothing else is happening at those games.
That's hilarious.
Weather's nice. Jaguars, Broncos, Bucks, Giants, and Cardinals. Not a fan of the mid-game proposals. Man, these are all taken with tongue in cheek, but I thought that was an interesting thing to look at here this morning. But Aaron Rodgers, most annoying player in all of the NFL. And Mo, at the end of the day, I mean, he doesn't do himself any favors. If you look at, just look at the 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. What other quarterbacks do we know that much about outside of Aaron Rodgers? I don't know what Patrick Holmes' political views are. I don't know damn thing about Dak Prescott off the field. I don't know what Joe Burrow does in his free time. I don't know if he's going on retreats. I don't know what he's doing.
Right.
You name another quarterback. What's Purdy doing when he's not playing football? I couldn't tell you. I literally couldn't tell you.
That's
I have
a
no
good
idea.
point.
But with Aaron, you know so much about his life because he shares so much about his life. I mean, we know a little bit about Kirk Cousins because he was on the quarterback show. So we know his faith and all that stuff. But it's not because he's taught. You don't learn it from his interviews. Aaron just puts it all out there, and he has a right to do that. He has a right to share who he is. But unfortunately, doesn't always come across the way you want it to, Aaron.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, we don't really know anything about Russell Wilson's personal life. We don't know. We don't really know, even though we know who he's married to. We don't know a lot about his personal life. People dislike Russell Wilson because they think he's clearly not genuine. Like, if I said, give me the guy that's going to give you the cardboard answer, the company line, no matter what, it's Russell Wilson, right? Like, Russ doesn't give you anything spontaneous or anything genuine, which is why I'm surprised that he wouldn't be higher up on the poll, because he comes off less than genuine whenever he speaks. Even after a tough win or a loss, you want a real reaction, and Russ goes, we're going to take it one game at a time, week to week, going to get better, get back on the practice field, work as a team. It's a team sport, one man. I mean, he just says every NFL cliche or sports cliche you can come up with, and people don't like him because he's just cardboard. He's a cardboard cutout.
I think if the players did it, I think Russ would be a lot higher. Like if it was an anonymous player poll and they were saying who they think the most annoying players in the National Football League are, I think Russ would rank really high on that, because we've heard that players don't like Russell Wilson. We've heard all about that. But because it was fans, unless Russ is your quarterback, I'm sure Broncos fans weren't a big fan of Russ.
Right.
I'm sure Seahawk fans towards the end weren't a big fan of Russ. And he hasn't really worn out his welcome in Pittsburgh because he hasn't played yet. So aside from those three fan bases, I don't think any other fan base would really have anything against Russ, aside from, just Broncos country ride, or whatever he said.
God, man, when he said that,
what a guy.
I'm sure he regrets saying. In the moment, though, I bet he thought, like, yeah.
What is he going to do? He's going to be a spokesperson for something. like the stupidest product ever, he is gonna like be the spokesperson for when he retires from the NFL. It's gonna be great. I'm signing up for it. I'm here for it. I am 100% here for it because he is. It's gonna be like, you know, sponges or like something you would see on a 3 a.m. infomercial. Russell Wilson is going to become the face of that product. There's going to be a stupid catchphrase. He's going to say the catchphrase every time he does some sort of public interview for this dumb product. And that's what he's going to be known for after his NFL career. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, you know what? The scary thing is he's probably going to be really good at that as a pitch man. Do you know what I mean? It would not shock me at all. Like his second career beyond football, I think will be more successful than football. But I don't know if people are necessarily going to love him for it. Sometimes you watch because you know it's the train wreck, right? And I think he's the kind of guy, for whatever reason, he draws people in, not because they root for him, but because they don't necessarily like him.
This was an interesting one, Mo. we don't have many of these stories, so I'm actually very excited for this. You ready for a Will Levis story?
Will Levis? Bring it on.
Bring it on. Will Levis had to change his phone number, Mo, because his phone number was leaked and fans started texting him, criticizing his play as quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. He said he got hundreds and hundreds of text messages that were not very nice and not very flattering. So as a result, he had to change his phone number.
That's rough. Look, I know we joke about it from time to time, but when we're really seriously talking about football or analyzing it, honestly, he's a young quarterback. Even though he's been in the league 2 or 3 years, he's a young quarterback. You can and you can be honest and say he does have arm talent, but arm talent alone does not make you a good quarterback. There's so many other nuances to it, and clearly, when you watch him play, Will Levis just has not. I don't think he just made a step in the right direction in terms of being able to read defenses, recognize coverages, or even when they change things up. He's been slow in developing, but that doesn't mean he can't still develop. So I know we have a little bit of fun here in the morning show joking around about it, but I'm not openly rooting against Will Levis. I'm really not. I'm one of those kind of guys that I root for all the young stars to become stars even down the road, 10, 20 years, those kind of guys. But we'll see. I just think that Will Levis, in an unfortunate way, early into this season, he's got 2 epic turnovers already. And if you're a Tennessee fan, you might get to the point where you're like, why don't you just hand the ball off a little bit more? Like, and maybe, who knows, the coaching staff might be like, 3rd and long, sprint draw. You know, we're going to play it safe. We're going to maybe not even we're not even going to risk a screen pass, sprint draw, fullback dive. we live to fight another day. He has tools. I don't know whether or not he's ever going to become the quarterback that Tennessee wants him to be, but I think this season is going to go a long way in telling you what his future is with the franchise.
Well, let's get into our week 3 predictions. It kicks off tonight, Amazon Prime Video. It is the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. This is the start of cupcake season. If you are the New York Jets, you are 1-1. Your next 3 games are against subpar quarterbacks. And then your 4th game is against Sam Darnold. The Patriots, they've been keeping games close, Mo. The Jets, they played a sloppy game against the Niners where they got kind of beat up, and then they played a really uncomfortably close game against the Tennessee Titans that the Titans had a chance to win. What do you see happening tonight when the Patriots and the Jets meet? It's a division game. It's a game where defense, good stout defense, which we've seen. We've seen good defense from the Niners. Like you said yesterday, Tennessee is playing above average defense the first couple of games. Unfortunately, their offense can't score anything, so it doesn't really matter. But this is going to be another above average defense that Aaron Rodgers is going to see. What do you think?
I'll say this. I think the Jets offense, they're going to be able to put up enough points, even if it's just 20 points. The question will be, if the Jets defense can't stop the run, if they can't stop Stevens at the point of attack, it's gonna be a mucked up game which favors the Patriots. If this is gonna be a 10-7, 13-10 game, the Patriots gonna win. And look, I'm gonna roll with the Jets because I'm gonna go, even though we were just talking about him, quarterback play does matter. You don't have to put up monster numbers. I'm gonna trust that Aaron Rodgers will be better than Jacoby Brissett. I am. And I'm going to trust that the defense that's been underwhelming will find a way to slow down the Patriots' run game. But I think it's going to be a competitive game.
If the Jets score 20 points, they win the game. Patriots can't score 20 points.
No argument.
So if the Jets score 20, they win. If the Jets don't score 20 points, this is the Patriots' game to win. The Patriots just don't have enough on the offensive side to score 20 points, in my opinion. Will we see a better version of the New York Jets defense? Will we see the Patriots get after Aaron Rodgers? They have a couple of injuries on the defensive side, which isn't going to help them. Edge rusher Jermaine Johnson is out for the year for the Jets.
That's right.
So that's going to be an issue with getting after Jacoby Brissett. Also, linebacker for the Jets, CJ Mosley is questionable. Cornerback DJ Reed missed week 2. So, there's injuries on both teams on the defensive side of the football, but I think it's going to come down to the offense. I think the Jets can put up 20, 24 points, and if they do that, I think they're going to win this game, possibly by double digits, but we shall see. Next up is the Eagles and the Saints. Mo, there's going to be a clunker in here eventually for the Saints. They have looked great. They have looked great the first 2 games. And I think they're going to be an above average team this year. But they play so many good teams to open up their schedule the next couple of weeks that I think they're going to lay an egg to one of them. And I think the Eagles is going to be the team they lay the egg to. I don't see them scoring 40 points. I don't even think they're going to score 20 points in this game. I see this being like a 31-17 victory for the Eagles.
I think if the Eagles can stop the run, if they can stop the run or at least control the Saints' run game, then I like the Eagles because I do think that the Eagles are going to be able to move the football. I get it, everybody. First 2 weeks of the season, the Saints look like the greatest show on turf. And right now, Derek Carr looks like Kurt Warner at his peak. I don't want to say it's smoke and mirrors because they've been impressive. They've been dominant. Do I think this is something they're going to sustain throughout the season? I don't. But I will say this particular game, whether they lose it or not, might determine who they really are, right? Because the Eagles aren't really playing their best football. They just lost a game they should have won, but they weren't playing. I would say they've been okay. If the Eagles find a way to not only control but win this football game, it's big for them, but it also brings New Orleans down to reality. Like, we're pretty good. We're actually not the greatest show on turf. So I'm going to roll with the Eagles because one of my preseason picks was I thought when it was all said and done, both Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley I thought would be MVP candidates. I think they both step up even with Brown out because I don't think Brown's going to play this week either. But I think in a bigger picture, I think the Eagles just find a way to eke out a close victory.
And Mo, if the Eagles win, it's probably going to be a role reversal of current trends. The Saints have the second best, they have the best offense and the second best defense in the league right now. The Philadelphia Eagles are 29th in pressure rates in the NFL, and the New Orleans Saints have the 9th best pass blocking team in the league right now, which is interesting because we thought that the Eagles would be better at getting pressure on the quarterback, right, and we didn't think that the Saints offensive line was good at all. And they're currently the 9th best in the league. So if the Eagles are going to take care of business this week, they're going to have to win up front. They're going to have to get pressure on Derek Carr when he does throw the ball. Because again, like you said, it starts with the run game. So once they stop the run, can they get to Carr? Can they just muddy it up a little bit and force Derek Carr to be the Derek Carr that we've seen in recent years and make a couple of mistakes? And we know that this Eagles team, they're very much a momentum swung team. They make a play on defense, they get a big interception, they get a big sack. It starts to fuel both sides of the football. That's the stuff I think the Eagles need. They need the big plays on both sides of the ball to kind of shock the team a little bit and kind of get the momentum rolling on their side. And they got to clean up the nonsense, the penalties, just those little miscues. It's funny because I was watching something yesterday, and it was the third down play at the end of the game. It was the third down play, and I didn't catch this. I didn't catch this during the actual game, but when I watched this thing on YouTube, this dude was 100% correct. So it's the third down play. The Eagles come to the line. They come to the line with 6 seconds to go on the play clock. They got 2 timeouts in their pocket, and Jalen goes hard count. And they pull Matthew Judon off sides.
I remember that.
But nobody moves. And then he readjusts himself, and he gets back to where he's supposed to be. And you just see, I think Goddard was the one running across, and Goddard was pissed because Goddard saw it. Goddard saw him come across. Goddard knew they had him. I don't know the 2 linemen who were in front of Judon, but if one of them moved, if one of them just stood up, it's a penalty. Game over. Sirianni was hot about it on the side. Like, Mo, it's the little stuff like that I think is just kind of holding the Eagles. They got to clean up that little stuff right there. That's the game right there. Forget third down, forget fourth down. The game's over, and it was designed that way, Mo. They went to the line to do that. They went to the line for the hard count because it looked like they're going to have to get the play off quickly. They got one person to bite on the Falcons defense, and the line just didn't do their job. They just didn't stand up.
Right. And they didn't just get him to bite. Like, he almost split 2 linemen. That's how far that's how far off sides he was.
He was coming.
Coming. And the funny thing is, when you need them to react, they don't react.
Right.
They don't react at all.
Nothing. They were statues. All right, next game up we got is the Chicago Bears at the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know what kind of quarterback play we are going to see in this game. I think the Bears are a better team. Maybe I don't know. This is a coin flip for me. It's in Indianapolis.
I'm going to give the edge to the Colts.
Why? I don't disagree with you. I just can't. I can't find something where I want to be like, yes, let's go this one over that one.
They're very similar when you look at their offenses and obviously at QB. But I'm going to give the edge to the Colts. They have a solid offensive line. I think Jonathan Taylor has a big game, and I think that's the difference.
The Bears have a decent defense, above average defense. I don't really love the Colts defense. Again, what is Caleb Williams going to do to the Colts? I don't know.
I guess this comes down to who's going to be worse, right? Anthony Richardson or Caleb Williams.
Richardson's going to be worse.
So I'm going to give the edge to the Bears. Well, if we do it that way, because I was thinking about best player, but if you do it that way, then I'm going to go with the Bears because I think even in an ugly game, Richardson will make more mistakes.
Right, and I think Caleb will be a little more solid, so I'm going to go Bears. Man, that is an ugly game this weekend. Holy cow.
And watch it end up being 55-51.
Right. Mo, the Miami Dolphins head to the Seattle Seahawks. It is game 1 without Tua Tagovailoa under center. Skylar Thompson is starting for the Dolphins. They did bring in Tyler Huntley. He is not expected to play. It is Skylar's team for the foreseeable future. Now, naturally, Mo, you would think that I would pick the Seahawks here because the Dolphins' backup quarterback. I do not like Skylar Thompson. I don't think he's that great. But I will say this. If the Dolphins can do something that they haven't done consistently with Tua under center, and that is properly utilize the run game, I think the Dolphins win this game. If the run game is not a factor and Skylar Thompson has to be the deciding factor in the air, I do not think the Dolphins win this game. Seattle is a solid team. I like the pieces they have over there on offense, but Seattle doesn't have a great run defense. That is going to be what Miami needs to exploit if they're going to win this game, and they have the pieces in the scheme to do it. I just think that with Tua and the big plays And I think that Mike McDaniel sometimes takes the running game for granted, and he doesn't use it as much as he should. Without Tua in there, if he doesn't lean into the run game, I think it's going to be a very long 5 weeks. If he leans into the run game, I think we're going to see a different side of the Dolphins. And I think that they can not only beat the Seahawks, Mo, but they have a light part of their schedule coming up a couple weeks after that as well. So it could be interesting. Chris is saying Tannehill back to Miami. Tannehill, two things. Number one, we don't want Ryan Tannehill back. Did you see how he played in Tennessee at the end of his career? Number two, and I like Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill has already said he will not come to the Dolphins because he is not looking for a short-term role. He wants something more permanent. Now, Ryan, I don't know where you're going to find that. Maybe Carolina. If Andy Dalton stinks up the joint, maybe they'll bring you in. But we'll see. We'll see. But I'm going.
Even that won't be permanent.
Nothing's permanent in Carolina, Mo.
Right.
Except for the offense they established.
Yes.
That system is permanent.
That damn system.
You like Seattle or you like Miami?
I think if it's a close game, I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins. I would argue that your coach, the way he is, I think he's going to basically play the offense the way as if Tua's in there, right? I think he's going to tell the kid, like, if you drop back and you're open, I want you to attack underneath or go vertical if Tyreek's got man-to-man coverage. Like, I think that's smart to come out and play aggressive. He's not Tua, but that doesn't mean they still can't utilize the speed that they have on the outside. I would say lean into the run game. If the Dolphins have 30 to 35 carries, they're in good shape. So I'm going to go with Miami in a close game. I'm going to go Miami.
Let's go Ravens and Cowboys. The Ravens are all coming in as off an 0-2 start. The Cowboys are coming in off of a god-awful loss to the New Orleans Saints. I'm leaning Ravens here, Mo, because the Ravens need this win. The Ravens cannot start the season 0-3. I don't care what the Bengals are doing. I don't care what anyone else in their division is doing right now. If the Ravens start 0-3, they're not making the playoffs. They're just not. They still have to play their entire division. They still have to play a couple of other quality teams on their schedule. They're not going to come back from an 0-3 hole to make the playoffs. So they have to get on track here. But at the same time, I don't think the Cowboys defense is as bad as it looked last week. I think they were for some reason, Mo, I don't think they were prepared for what the New Orleans Saints were going to do to them. I don't know why. I don't know if they just thought that game 1 for New Orleans was a fluke and they were just going to not try to do that again, because they basically replicated their game plan from the Carolina game against the Dallas Cowboys, and the Dallas Cowboys defense played like the Carolina Panthers defense. So I don't know what exactly we were doing there. But I think the Ravens find a way to win.
I'm picking the Ravens for everything you said, and for also the fact that before the season, I said Dallas wasn't going to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs.
You have stuck to that.
They're not going to make the playoffs. And which it's great that Dak's already got his money because they're not going to make the playoffs. But I think that you're right. The Ravens need this, and this is the one game because of how Dallas has been against the run. You got to give Derrick Henry 25, 30 carries. But I would say this, you have to do it where he's most comfortable. Single back set. Doing RPO with a guy like Derrick Henry doesn't work. He doesn't have the side-to-side speed to be an RPO running back. He's a straight-ahead power one-cut back. You've got to cater to what he does best. Out of the RPO, you're setting him up for failure.
And you can still you can run the naked bootleg. You can still move Lamar around. I get it. The system has Lamar running the RPO. The system has the running back next to Lamar. I get all that. I get it. I understand it. But that's not what Derrick Henry does best. And if you want to properly utilize Derrick Henry, you got to put him in the single eye or go I formation if you need to. I don't know if they got a fullback on that team. Put a tight end back there. Put Andrews or something. Put a big body back there. Give them different looks. And you got, and I know this happens a lot with Derrick Henry because he's not a pass catcher. but you fall into that trap of, oh, Henry's on the field, they're going to run it. You got to start doing different looks when Henry's on the field. You can't run the damn ball every time Derrick Henry's in the backfield,
right?
Because teams are going to start to telegraph it similar to the way they were telegraphing it in Tennessee. I get it. He's not a hands guy. You got to do what you got to do, but you don't have to pass on first, or you don't have to run on first and second down just because Henry's on the field. A few times a game, throw a wrinkle in there where it should probably be a run situation, and you play action, you do something else, just so they're not loading up that box for the Derrick Henry rush. Like I said, I think it's going to be Ravens. We got the San Francisco 49ers and the Rams. I think the 49ers are going to roll here. I know that both teams have injuries, but there's no offense on the Rams side of the football besides Matthew Stafford. There's no line. There's no skill position players at the wide receiver position. I like their running back, but it doesn't really matter because they're going to load the box and they're going to say, you're not going to run the ball against us. Who you throwing to, Matthew Stafford? Who you throwing to?
I like the Niners for the same reasons. If they don't win this game, now if the Rams were healthy, I would tell you this could go either way because of the way they could attack the Niners over the middle of the field and vertically. But with all the people that are out, including not just their starting left tackle, but the backup. They're at their third left tackle, and Matthew Stafford already looked like he's taking a beating, and we're just 2 games into the season. If the Niners lose this game, you're a Niner fan, you should be in panic mode because the Rams are ripe for the picking right now. So I expect the Niners to win.
The Lions are going to Arizona. This is an interesting game because you look at what happened with Detroit at home with the Buccaneers. I love the Baker train. You love the Baker train. Great story for Tampa Bay. It is what it is. We think that Tampa Bay is going to win their division, or make the playoffs at least. So the Lions losing to a playoff team, fine. But now you look at the beating that the Cardinals put on the Rams. They're feeling pretty good about themselves. Kyler is looking good. Marvin Harrison Jr. is looking good. Now the Lions come to town. And if you're Arizona and you win this game, it's a little early season statement game for the Arizona Cardinals. They would be 2-1. They have a blowout victory over the Rams. They have a victory over the Lions. Not bad for a team in the NFC that's trying to get into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win their division by any stretch of the imagination. But 3 games into the season, you're 2-1. You got victories over teams that other people thought were going to make the playoffs. Pretty big game right here for Arizona early in the season.
Pretty big game for the Cardinals. Even bigger game to me for the Lions. When you're one of those teams that's supposed to be the hunter, you're expected to win between 11 and 13 games, and you're on a mission to get back to the NFC title game. It's important for the Lions' psyche not to fall back into that, oh, we're the Lions psyche, right? Like this is their time. Whatever their run's going to be, it all centers on what they do right now. I don't think the Lions have any intentions of falling behind in the division or falling behind in the conference. If Kyler Murray can pull off what he did last week, that would be amazing. But I'm going to assume that Detroit's defense will be a lot more stouter. I think Jared Goff will play much better than he did last week. I'm going to go with the Lions.
If the Lions were to stumble here, their next handful of games, it doesn't necessarily get easier. They got a Monday night game against Seattle, then they go on their bye week, and they come out of their bye week and they play Dallas, Minnesota. They get a break with Tennessee, then they play Green Bay and Houston. So this is definitely not the easiest schedule to start the season for the Lions. You're going to lose some of these games. You're not going to run through every single one of these games. But if you're Detroit and you're looking at your schedule and you're saying, okay, what do we got on there? We got the Rams, we got the Bucks, we got the Cardinals, Seahawks, Cowboys, Vikings, Titans, Packers, Texans. Man, that's a lot the first, 10 weeks of the season. Which ones can we circle? We see Arizona, we can circle that one. Seattle, we're going to circle that one. Tennessee, we're going to circle that one. Those are the ones you're like, we got to win those ones.
Right.
And then we got to take care of business against some of the other good teams. We might lose a couple of them, but this is one of the ones, Mo. This is one of the ones you got to circle and be like, we got to get that one, because we're not going to beat all the good teams in the NFC. We're not a juggernaut. So I think the Lions win. For the sake of my fantasy team, I need Amon-Ra St. Brown to give himself a couple touchdowns. Thank you very much. And in most of my leagues, Jared Goff, my new starting quarterback, since Tua's out. So I really need the Lions to do something, Mo. That's what I really, really need. But I think they're going to win. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think they're going to win. Next up on the docket, we have the Kansas City Chiefs and the Atlanta Falcons. This is the Sunday night football game. It was a great story for Kirk Cousins, but I don't think it's going to be a great story this week. I think the Chiefs are going to roll here.
I'm picking the Chiefs, but I'm hoping for a really good competitive game. But I'm gonna pick the Chiefs to win. Look, if you're Atlanta, you want to win this game, but what if they just are competitive against the champs? Look, there's no moral victories, but we got to remember this is a young up and coming team. So if they can be competitive, or even pull off an upset, that would be amazing. I'm gonna go with Kansas City because right now, look, Patrick Mahomes is that dude. And he's got new weapons to play with, and he's using them. So I don't think the champs are going to be losing on Sunday night.
We got the Houston Texans and the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to go against the grain here a little bit. I'm going to go Minnesota. I look at Houston the first couple of games this season. They played a really close game against the Indianapolis Colts, against a quarterback who I don't think can throw the football. And the Indianapolis Colts put 27 points up on Houston, and there were moments where Richardson actually looked good in that game. And then they come into their second game against another not great team in Chicago, and it's a muddy game, 19-13. The offense didn't look great in that game. I know the Bears have a better defense than the Colts do, but I don't think the Bears have an electric defense. So I wasn't necessarily too impressed by what I saw last week. And now you're rolling into what's probably going to be your most challenging game of the season so far in the Minnesota Vikings, who have all the confidence in the world right now, Mo. So for me, I look at this game and I think Minnesota is going to come out of this game, and I think Minnesota is going to pick up the W. I'm not saying they're going to blow out the Houston Texans by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not saying Houston's a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. But I just look at what we've seen so far with the Texans and all the love that they were getting. Just people were kind of penciling them in for the NFC Championship or the AFC Championship game. And I don't know, guys. I don't know if that, I get it. It's a long season. We got a long way to go, but I'm looking at it right now, Mo, and I'm not seeing AFC champion Houston Texans. I'm seeing a team that's kind of looking for itself, trying to kind of find itself. And I'm seeing a little bit lesser of a CJ Stroud than I saw last season. We said this all off season. We thought CJ was going to take a step back. He's still going to be a good quarterback, but we thought he would be a little less than he was last year. So I think Minnesota gets the upset here.
I think it could be a really close game. I'm taking Minnesota, not so much because Stroud and the offense haven't come together. I don't think their defense has played that well the first couple of games. They've just found ways to win. And I'm looking at the weapons that Minnesota has at disposal, the way that Sam Darnold's been playing. Look, this might be a blip season if people want to call it that, but I think this is one of those maybe career turnaround seasons. I think Sam Darnold's playing with a level of confidence that he hasn't played with since he was in college. So I'm going to go with the Vikings because that offense, it looks like it's the real deal to me. I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going with the Vikings.
If the Cleveland Browns lose to the New York Giants, Deshaun Watson should be benched for the rest of his time with the Cleveland Browns. I think the Browns are going to roll in this game. And I don't think it's going to have much to do with Deshaun Watson. I think it's going to have to do with the defense just destroying Daniel Jones. There might be a couple pick sixes in this game. There might be some fumble recoveries for touchdowns. I think Daniel Jones is going to get thumped. And then the Cleveland Browns offense is going to do enough to not give the ball back to the Giants.
You should favor Cleveland because of their defense, right? It's still a really top. It's one of the top defenses in football, no matter who they're playing. That said, even though I'm not a Giants fan, I don't think much of the Giants. I don't think much of Deshaun Watson. I actually think
True.
it's going to be a close. It's going to be a close game, and I think that the Giants get maybe their only win of the season. But I think the Giants beat Cleveland.
Ooh, I like it, Mo. I like it. It's spicy in here. We got the Chargers and the Steelers. I'm going Chargers. These are the two best defenses in the league right now as far as points allowed goes. I know that Justin Herbert is having some mobility issues. I agree that Justin Fields looked good week 2, better than he did week 1. I trust Herbert more. It's weird to say because he hasn't done much to make me want to trust him more, but I just trust him more. So I'm going to go Chargers.
I trust Herbert more. I'm a big fan of both coaches. The difference, though, even though the Steelers have a better defense, I think Herbert can make that one great throw. Like when you need it, your great quarterbacks can make that play. I don't think Fields can make that play. Maybe with his legs, but if it's coming down to it, the last 2 minutes of the game and it's close, I'm going to go with Herbert and Harbaugh. So I'm going to pick the Chargers in an upset.
We got the Commanders and the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it fairly easily.
I think the Bengals need to win this game. I think it's important for them as a team, maybe as an organization, because right now they're not looking great. I think the Bengals find a way to win this game. I think they do expose the rookie quarterback a little bit, and Joe Burrow and the offense get on track.
The Buccaneers are hosting the Broncos. People are trying to call this a trap game for the Buccaneers. If the Broncos were good, I'd say maybe. But I have no idea if you're even going to get competent quarterback play out of Bo Nix, given his first 2 games of the year, and they're doing it in Tampa Bay. I maybe we see a little bit of a letdown from Baker and the Bucs after a big emotional win last week. But any letdown that you see, I think they'll recover from later on in the game. And if they have to overcome, a 7 or 10 point deficit because they were a little lackluster coming out, I still think they win this game pretty easily, 24-10, 24-7, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm like you said, I'm on the Baker train. I think the Buccaneers find a way to win it. Their offense is a little bit more potent than most think, and I think their defense, while you don't recognize all the names, they fly to the football. I'm going to go with the Bucs.
Packers and Titans. Listen, we talk a lot of Will Levis over here, and it's not in the best light. I think he wins this game. I'm just saying, if there is one team that knows exactly what Malik Willis can't do, it is the Tennessee Titans. And I think you are going to see specific things that this defense does in this game that you will not see at any other point this season, just because Malik Willis is the quarterback on the other side. I think Malik Willis is going to be exposed. I also think he's going to be a little hyped coming out because he's going to want to prove something to the Tennessee Titans, and I think that's going to work against him as well. I think it's going to be ugly early in this game, and Willis is not going to have a good showing. Although there are some people who think that Love is going to try to play this weekend. Now, if Love plays, different story. The Packers are obviously going to win that game. But if Willis is the starting quarterback, I am going Tennessee.
I'm going with Tennessee as well. I know we were just talking about Will Levis' struggles, but the Tennessee defense has been good the first 2 games. They've been good enough to win. The offense just haven't matched what they've done. I think they're going to be all over Malik Willis. He's going to have a rough game. You might see at one point in this game, Chris, 10 men at the line of scrimmage.
You might
literally see 10 men at the line of scrimmage begging them to throw the football.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tennessee wins this in a walk.
It's the weekly game of who gets to beat the crap out of the Carolina Panthers, and this week it is the Las Vegas Raiders. Congratulations, Raiders. It's basically a bye week for you. They're probably going to drop 30 on the Panthers. Andy Dalton's going to do nothing on offense. Raiders in a blowout.
I think the Raiders win this in a blowout, and I think Coach Pierce is going to have them motivated. He's going to give them that speech about, I don't care what they've looked like. Go out there like this is a Super Bowl. Like, if they come out there and play the way they're supposed to, this is not going to be a close football game.
And then I don't think it's going to be any better when the Bills and the Jaguars meet on Monday Night Football. The Jaguars have just been a train wreck. They've been a train wreck. And to the credit of the Buffalo Bills, Joe Brady, he's had 11 games now with Josh Allen, and Josh is 9-2 during those games. He's doing with Josh Allen a lot of what Brian Daboll did with Josh Allen. He's reining him in. He's making him take the drop down stuff. He's not having him throw as many ridiculous passes down the field. Josh Allen has no turnovers through the first 2 games of the season. He's only one of 2 quarterbacks in the NFL without a turnover through the first 2 games. If Josh Allen is going to play turnover-free football, the Buffalo Bills are going to be a very good football team this season. And no offense, but the Jacksonville Jaguars are not a very good football team. So I think Buffalo wins this one pretty handedly, although they did lose to Jacksonville, I believe it was last season, in a game that they had no business losing to Jacksonville in. They have struggled a little bit with Jacksonville since Josh Allen's been in there. So keep that in mind, but I'm still going Buffalo.
And the interesting thing for me is I think Jacksonville desperately needs this win.
They do.
I really believe that. But you pointed out that they've reined in Josh Allen, so they're not just winning football games, they're winning situational football.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the key to their season. So I don't expect that to change. I think it'll be a close game, but I'm still going with the Bills.
And that is the end of our picks, guys. Close us to the end here, Mo. Close us to the end.
Thank you guys so much for joining Chris and I on a Thursday. We appreciate you. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network. We appreciate you guys.
Guys, we're taking a 72-hour break. We'll be back here on Monday morning to break down everything that has happened in the NFL over the weekend. Hopefully it's a better Monday for me. Last Monday we had the Tua news going on. So hopefully it's a better Monday. We'll see what happens. But make sure you're back here on Monday for all of that and more. Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network. And we'll see all of you